what's going
Knicks
on?
Daily Edition.
Everybody, I want to welcome you back to Knicks Daily. Playing Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson together fundamentally changes Tom Thibodeau's style of play, especially in the playoffs, as we're seeing now. It transforms both the identity of the team and our offensive structure for the Knicks. Let's start with what our defensive identity would be. This would be like the Twin Towers 2.0. We've seen it in spurts. Tom Thibodeau has always leaned on defense, but pairing Cat and Mitch would then turn our front court into a high-risk but high-reward experiment. Mitchell Robinson anchors our paint, that's unquestionable. He swats shots, he cleans the glass, he erases many of our mistakes. And he also allows Cat to defend in space or even have the ability to play the 4, where he can use his size without being the last line of defense. Cat's defensive struggles are very real, but with Mitchell Robinson next to him, Tom Thibodeau can hide Cat on weaker offensive players. He can also limit his rim protection responsibilities, thus letting him use his size to contest without being exposed in pick and rolls. It's also a throwback to when Tom Thibodeau was with the Bulls in his early days. With those Bull teams, with Joakim Noah and Carlos Boozer, Boozer was a defense-first bruiser next to a skilled offensive big. So it upgraded their offense so that they have more modern spacing, okay? The second piece to it all is what it would look like in terms of the offensive transformation, our inside-out attack. Now here is where it gets spicy. Karl-Anthony Towns at the 4 unlocks 5-out looks. He shoots nearly 40% from 3 and forces opposing bigs to guard out to the arc. That opens lanes for Jalen Brunson to cook in isolation or drive and kick scenarios. Mitchell Robinson thrives as a vertical spacer and an offensive rebounder. We've seen that with his offensive rebound off of a free throw earlier in the series. And that keeps pressure on defenses without shooting. Thibodeau traditionally keeps things tight offensively though, but this combo pushes the Knicks toward more modern, versatile sets, horns, high-low actions, and a ton of post splits. But if we're talking matchups and matchup flexibility, especially now in the playoffs, this is what it will look like against teams like Boston or Cleveland, who can go big or small. Tibbs now can toggle between bruising and finesse. We're seeing it with Detroit as well. If we go small, Cat can dominate mismatches in the post. If we go big, Mitch can battle in the paint while Cat draws a big away from the rim. This type of setup helps us preserve Jalen Brunson's legs, as he won't have to carry the offense every possession. Karl-Anthony Towns can take over in stretches, as we've seen in the last game, offensively. And Mitch's presence ensures second chances galore, as we've seen in the last game. But here are the possible challenges, and we've seen some of this in this current series. Tibbs will have to stagger the minutes carefully, because when spacing shrinks, and both can't shoot, it avoids clogging the lane. Also, Mitch Robinson's not shooting limits drive and kick spacing if Cat isn't drawing defenders out. But also to stay disciplined with rotations, especially late in the games when teams try to force switches or exploit slower footed lineups. That can be like the disadvantages of it all. But overall, the thought process behind it is playing Cat and Mitch together would mark a shift towards power and versatility. It gives us a dynamic mix of floor spacing, rim protection, rebounding, and mismatch potential, while also allowing the coach to stay true to our defense-first identity with a modern twist. So it's an aggressive move for us, but it's there in our back pocket that we're starting to see in spurts. If somebody says, look, we're going big, we want to stay physical, and we're giving Brunson and Tibbs some new weapons to make a real run. That's my belief if we were to incorporate that Mitch, Rob, and Cat lineup a little bit more. But what say you? Just keep this in mind. We have versatility, and it's going to be used to our benefit. I trust the coach as well with this. But keep this in mind, same thing applies to life that applies to our team. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. Remember this, whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here in Knicks Deli, everybody eats. I'm your boy Shit, and I'm out. Peace.